Hello and welcome to another spoiler review of Game of Thrones here on this channel, and that's right, you heard me, this is a spoiler review. So, that means I'm going to be spoiling this episode, so consider yourselves warned on all things spoilers. But before I get into this episode, which is a great episode, this is season 7, episode 3, called The Queen's Justice, I have to say, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this video and want to see more videos like this every Monday, at least while Game of Thrones is going on. With that being said, let's get into the review. So let's get straight into the episode. Let's start off with Dragonstone and pretty much everything that happens there. Now, I've greatly enjoyed that they actually did it, that they actually skipped time in this, and this episode does skip time a lot. And I'm very happy that they just got straight to Jon being at Dragonstone instead of giving us his journey to there like they maybe would have done in previous seasons. This time it's like, nope, he's there, and I really enjoy that. Jon meets Tyrion and they have a great banter. It's very reminiscent of season 1. It's great member berries in my opinion. And then you have Davos checking things out. He's trying to see where Missandei is from. He's pretty much trying to figure out, hey, who are you, because he doesn't know, like Jon and Sir Davos don't know anything about anybody who's going here, not even Dany really. And then you have them walking up the stairs, and it's a great thing to have the dragons fly by, and then Davos and Jon just like get down, and it's great because you totally know that Dany was like, hey guys, go fly by them, see what's up. And it's a great thing to show Jon and Davos that, hey, Dany means business. And you finally have Jon meeting Dany. This is a meeting that we've wanted for years now, and Dany's too forceful, man. Dany, in my opinion, you can tell me in the comments down below if you have a different opinion, but in my opinion, Dany is too forceful. She's too, there's confidence and then there's cockiness. I think Dany is in that cockiness range where you have her just saying, look, bend the knee, dude, bend the knee or you're my enemy. And Jon doesn't bend the knee, and that's something that's very realistic when you come to think of it. Like, Jon doesn't know anything about Dany. Like, sure, you have Missandei giving all the accolades of her and all that she's done apparently, and then it's a great thing where you have Sir Davos after Missandei's like breaker of chains, mother of dragons, and all that stuff. Davos is just like, this is Jon Snow. It's an amazing. Davos is actually one of the more comedic characters in this episode, and it's really nice change for him. But Jon doesn't bend the knee because he doesn't know anything about Daenerys. He just knows that she's the daughter of the Mad King, and Jon's grandfather was burned alive by the Mad King, so he has a right to be skeptical of her. Now, it's a great thing to have Dany actually apologize for what her father did, and this episode does a really good job of telling us that you can't judge somebody by their father's sins, sins of the father. You can't, because it's not right. It's like, you can't judge somebody on their father's sins because they are not their father. Their father made those decisions, and it's kind of reminiscent of everybody in this episode. You have even Tyrion being like, hey, I'm glad that we are not our fathers, but it's just a great thing to see Dany. Yeah, she is cocky, but she does have the presence of mind to be like, yep, that kind of stinks for you. I'm sorry. Please forgive us. And of course, Jon doesn't bend the knee, and then you have Varys running in because he's just found out that the Greyjoys have been taken, captured, or killed, and that the sand snakes have been taken, captured, or killed. But Varys is like, hey, Dany, tell your guests to leave so they don't know. So boom, they leave. Varys is like, dude, everybody's either dead or killed. And it's a great thing to see, like, Tyrion like, oh, Johnny. Because this is one of those things to where now it puts Dany and them in a tough spot. It puts them in a tight spot because they don't have a lot of allies anymore. They just have pretty much the Dothraki, the Unsullied, and now Lady Tyrell, I believe is her name. And so it's really, this episode really puts Dany, by the end of this episode, it puts Dany and her camp in a tight spot. But when we get back to, because it cuts away to King's Landing. When we get back to Dragonstone, you have Jon meeting with Tyrion, brooding on a cliff. It's a great scene between them two. It's just this is Tyrion at his peak again. I mean, sure, we've had that in the past, but this is Tyrion. Like, the writing in this episode is so great. So you have Tyrion, being the charming, sharp-witted and everything, and you have Jon telling him about, hey, I'm the Northern Fool, but I need dragonglass. And so Tyrion goes to Dany and is like, hey, it's dragonglass. And Dany didn't even know about dragonglass. Nobody really knew about dragonglass until Samwell found out about it. And Tyrion's like, hey, we can give this to him, and that's giving him something without giving him anything, because Dany doesn't care about the dragonglass. It doesn't mean anything to her. And Tyrion's like, hey, if it works, great. If it doesn't, it's not our loss, because we're not using dragonglass. And it's great to see Tyrion being like, hey, let me... It's a great scene. I knew this, and I don't know if I said it in last week's video, but I knew that Tyrion would be the one to bridge the gap between Dany and Jon. I knew that Jon wasn't going to bend the knee, and I knew that Tyrion would be the one to bridge that gap, and he does it very well, in a very smart way. It's like, yeah, Dany wasn't using the dragonglass, so give him something that you're not using, and you're not losing anything, really. You're probably gaining an ally, because you just lost a few allies. And it's great. And then you have an amazing scene where Dany tells Jon that he can mine it, and Jon's like, sweet. And you have, during the last scene between Dany and Jon, you have Jon hinting, you have him absolutely hinting that he will be willing to bend the knee after the Great War between, humanity and the White Walkers. Like, he's totally willing, and it's totally believable, because you understand that, hey, Jon doesn't care. I mean, he's even said it to his own constituents that he doesn't want to be the king in the North. Like, so it's absolutely believable that he would be like, hey, yeah, you help me. Once we defeat the White Walkers, man, with this dragonglass, I don't really care. Like, I feel like Jon Snow would be somebody who would just be like Sir Gregor Clegane, I believe. I think, yeah, the Hound, where he's just like, after he got beat by Brienne of Tarth, the Hound was just like, I'm retired. I think that's what Jon wants to do after the Great War, if he survives, that is. I think Jon's gonna be like, hey, I'm retired. I'm gonna go find myself some good people to build a log cabin with. You know what I'm saying? So that was just everything that happened on Dragonstone was really good, and it's a finally moment where you finally have Jon and Tyrion meet again, and then you finally have Jon and Dany meeting, and it was just a great it was a great place, and it was amazing scenes that happened at Dragonstone. Now let's move on to King's Landing, and here you have Euron Greyjoy having Yara, Ilaria, and Tyne just walk through the streets of King's Landing. I'm not sure how you say her name. Her name is spelled Tyene. I'm not sure how you'd say her name. Anyway, he's on his horse, and he's having them walk behind him on a leash down through the streets of Westeros, and he takes them to Cersei, and apparently this was his priceless gift. Yes, and actually the priceless gift wasn't like them. It was just justice, because of Ilaria and the Sand Snakes. They killed Marcella, that was the only daughter of Cersei. So Euron was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give them justice," and Euron takes them up, takes them to the throne room, puts them at the feet of Cersei, and it's an amazing. It's an amazing scene where Euron talks to Jaime about what Cersei likes. Yeah, that's how I'll say it. He talks to him, and you can totally tell that Euron Greyjoy is doing this to get under Jaime's skin, and it absolutely works because Jaime's just so mad at him, and it just it's an amazing scene between the two because you have one being absolutely confident and it knows exactly what he's doing, and the other one is just so frustrated and infuriated at what Jaime is just frustrated and infuriated at what Euron does, and it's an amazing scene. And right after that, we immediately cut to Cersei, and she's taken Ellaria and Tyne, I hope I'm saying that right, to the dungeon. It doesn't look like the same exact like cell room that she was in herself, but it's in the dungeon. So takes them down there with the mountain. So it's like, oh Johnny, something's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna die. Something bad is going to happen to this the Sand People. Star Wars reference. The Sand People. Something's gonna happen to them. And I mean, Cersei is just, the way the scene plays out is so great because it's just Cersei talking, and you have she gagged Ellaria and Tyne, and so it's just her talking, and obviously the mountain doesn't talk, but Cersei's like, I don't sleep well anymore because I just stay up thinking about how I'm gonna kill people. It's crazy. I mean, like, wow, like, really? You don't sleep well because you're trying to think of ways to kill your enemies? And it's great because she's like, I thought about having the mountain crush your skull like he did to Oberon. I think that was his name. Yeah. She thought about that. She thought about having the mountain crush her daughters, Tyne. I hope I'm saying that right. She thought about having the mountain crush her skull. And then there's amazing line that Cersei says when she looks over to Ellaria, and she talks about her sister Marcella, an innocent daughter, and then there's one line where she says, "Why did you do it?" And then the way it's like an opening, it's like pulling back the curtain that Cersei has put up in front of her. Like, Cersei's put up just a brick wall. Like, she is all hatred at this point. And it's like we get a little glimpse behind that wall into the Cersei that still has emotions and weaknesses, We get a little glimpse into that, and then it's immediately just she just closes it again by saying it doesn't matter, because she goes over and then she kisses Tyne, and that means, and we totally know what that means, because Ellaria, the way she killed Marcella, was she kissed her, and then she had poison on her lips, I guess, and that's how Marcella died. So Cersei did that to Tyne and is like, hey, we don't know how long it takes. And it's crazy. It's great. I mean, it's absolutely great. Oh yeah, I forgot the Maester was in there too. Yeah, he was in the room too, and he gives her the antidote. And then she asks him, "How long does it take?" He's like, "Well, don't really know. Days, weeks, or hours, days, don't know. It depends on the person, really." And it's such a good scene because Indira Varma, the actress who plays Ellaria, the mother, the way she acts this scene is absolutely great. It's such a well acted scene. I mean, just bravo to her. It was an amazing scene, and it was great because Cersei thought of everything. She was like, change the torches every few hours so we make sure that she sees everything. And Cersei's like, you're gonna stay here. You're gonna watch your daughter die, and then you're gonna watch her flesh just rot. You're gonna be here until there's nothing but bones of your daughter. And it's amazing because Cersei's like, we will force food down your throat. We will make sure that you survive long enough to see your daughter just taken away by maggots, by rats, probably by anything. It's just, it's Cersei's like a great character, and it's a great scene. And then we cut to Cersei doing monkey business with Jaime Lannister, and it's kind of weird seeing Cersei be the seducer. So yeah, Jaime's like, no, and then he totally goes with it because he's weird. And then immediately after that, we have a scene with Mycroft Holmes from the Sherlock TV show. I just know him from that, and he's with the Iron Bank. I totally forgot that actor was played the guy from the Iron Bank earlier, but he's with the Iron Bank, and he's because we knew that the Lannisters did not have a lot of money left, and so he comes there and he has a talk with Cersei Lannister about money, and Cersei is absolutely Tywin's daughter because the way that she talks to Mycroft Holmes is just great. I mean, she cuts him down at every point. She tells him why he shouldn't be investing in Dany because she messed up his trade, the slave trade. Dany ruined that. Rebellions are not good for investing in. I mean, and then she gives the whole, give me a fortnight, all my debts will be paid. And it's just a great scene between the two of them, showing that Cersei is not just a revenge driven character, but she has everything covered. And now we go to Winterfell, where actually not much happens, but we do have Sansa pretty much walking throughout the castle of Winterfell, and she is showing that she is very smart and knows what is needed or what is going to be needed in the future and for the war, when she's talking about their grain stocks, that they don't have enough, and she realizes that, hey, there's a very good chance that a lot of the Northerners are going to be there's a good chance that they're going to retreat to Winterfell. So she's like, hey, let's start getting everybody to start giving us their grains for storage, because once everybody retreats to Winterfell, there's not going to be time for them to be sending wagons and a lot. There's not going to be time for them to be sending wagons full of grain and stock and things like that, and what they need to survive. And so she's like, hey, let's think about the future and let's start getting this stuff now so that we don't have to worry about it later. And that's such a good thing. That's kind of like a mom thing to do, where it's like, hey, why do tomorrow what you can do today, So Sansa is showing that she's really smart in that aspect. And then she goes by these the armory guys, and they're making breastplates for their soldiers, and they're making them, but they're not putting leather on them, and apparently if you put leather on them, that really helps with keeping the cold out. And so Sansa sees that, and she's like, hey, why aren't those supposed to have leather on them because of the cold? And then she tells her advisor that, and then the advisor's like, yeah, that's true. So yeah, and then her advisor's like, hey, put some leather on that because it's gonna be cold. And it's just a great thing to show that Sansa is absolutely taking charge, and she's absolutely well qualified for the job. We don't see Brienne of Tarth, which is kind of weird because usually she's kind of Sansa's shadow, but it's fine. And then we have a great Littlefinger speech, and it's to me, it's like, okay, finally, Littlefinger is getting back to the Littlefinger that we know, because for the first 2 episodes, he hasn't been getting done what he normally gets done. He hasn't been doing his normal Littlefinger things. They haven't been working on Sansa and Jon and Joe. And this time, you get Littlefinger having his speech, and he's like, hey, don't forget about Cersei Lannister. And there's an amazing line that Sansa's like, you know what, you're not the one who knows Cersei the best anymore. And it's a great thing by Sansa, but you get Littlefinger being like, hey, don't forget about her. You have to understand that you have to be ready for everything. And that's something that Littlefinger does that is almost like Sherlock Holmes-esque, where Littlefinger is saying, hey, you not only have to worry about the Night King and the White Walkers, and you have to worry about Cersei, but you have to literally worry about everything that could possibly happen. It's really like crazy. It's absolutely like a chess game where Littlefinger's telling her, hey, you have to be ready for them to, it's like on a chessboard, Littlefinger's pretty much saying you have to be ready for your opponent to move every single piece at the same time. And it's a great speech by Littlefinger, saying like, hey, not saying that that's how he has gotten so far in the Game of Thrones, but implying that, hey, this is what I do, and this has worked out pretty well so far. So I'm going to tell you this, Sansa. You have to be ready for every single move to happen at the same time. You literally cannot be ready for anything. You cannot be not prepared for anything, if that makes sense. You have to be prepared for every single possibility, and that's I think that's probably why Littlefinger has done so well in the Game of Thrones, is why he may be still alive, because of him being able to adapt to everything that has happened throughout Game of Thrones, because it has been shocking for us. And if it's shocking for us as a viewer who sees multiple, everything that's going around, it has to be shocking for a character like Littlefinger. But he is great at adapting, and it's so smart for him to understand that you have to be prepared for everything. And finally, we get Bran. Bran is back, and I enjoy that they didn't show him last season. Or not last season, but last episode, in episode 2, Stormborn. They didn't show him in the last episode, and at the end of that episode, I told my sister, I was like, well, we didn't see Bran. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure he's going down to Winterfell, and I was right. Woohoo, yay! But I was, and we finally get Bran, and he's at Winterfell, and we have him go and talk to Sansa alone by that creepy tree. I mean, people, if there's a tree and it's got a face in it, stay away, or, that's just creepy, absolutely. If that face is not carved in it, especially, like it seems like this tree is just had a face in it, that's weird. But you have them talking about this tree, and Sansa's like, hey, you're the last true heir, you're the last true son of the Starks. Like, you're the last true Stark son, so you're king you're Lord of Winterfell. And then Bran is like, Bran, I mean, you guys, come on, Bran is more stoic. Bran is more of a just ice cold person than even Arya was last episode, when she was talking to Hot Pot. Like, she was just like stone faced nothing. But I mean, now Bran is like, I'm the three-eyed raven. Like, he does, and what we get from Bran is so eye-opening to me, at least, because I haven't read the books. But what we get from Bran is that he has seen everything that has happened, and he has seen everything that has happened to everyone, and it seems, and it totally, it's absolutely true because of what he tells Sansa, because he knows and he has seen what happened to Sansa with Ramsay Bolton. He has seen that, and it's so just like it's kind of weird that him as Sansa's brother wouldn't be like super appalled by that. But then again, you have to realize that him being the Three-Eyed Raven and seeing everything that has happened to everyone, he knows that Sansa got her revenge. So he's probably not like as broken up about it as maybe I would be, because he knows that Sansa was the one who really killed Ramsay Bolton, and Sansa got her revenge, and Sansa's doing great now. But him knowing, and this is something that could be very bad for Littlefinger, because now Bran most likely knows that Littlefinger is the one who started the War of the Five Kings. Or is it that? I think that's what it's called. Bran, I'm pretty sure he knows that Littlefinger did that. So Bran is going to be a very interesting thing. And Bran can be very helpful too. When we have Bran, it seems like he sees everything, and he sees everything that's happening to people, and it seems like Bran now can be an absolute X factor in the battle against Cersei Lannister, because he can see what Jaime is planning. And that is something that is amazing. He can see what's going on with Euron Greyjoy, and that can help out Dany and Jon in their battle against Cersei tremendously. I mean, absolutely, that is something that's so big. Knowing what your opponent is going to do as your opponent is like coming up with their plan, you're hearing that plan just like them, and Bran is going to be very influential in what can happen, and at least that's my thoughts on it. I think that Bran can be someone that is very important and very impactful to the battles that are to come. Maybe not against the Night King, because the Night King doesn't seem like he has strategy. It's just like, hey, we got numbers, let's do this. But he can absolutely be impactful in the battles against Cersei and her armies. Real quickly, you cannot forget Samwell Tarly and Ser Jorah Mormont, who are at Old Town, I believe it's called, and the Citadel, and we get that Ser Jorah is fine. Apparently that operation did wonders for him. He's looking pretty good compared to what he was. Still got some scarring, but looking pretty good. He totally lies about not knowing that Sam did it, and I'll be honest with you, not a lot happened here. It was really short, and we just get that Ser Jorah's free to go. Yay! Now Sir Friendzone can go back to Dany Targaryen. Great! We also get that Samwell didn't get kicked out of the Citadel, so great! Okay, let's wrap this up with the ending of this episode. Now, this is something that Game of Thrones has never done. Not in the TV show at least. Game of Thrones has never done a montage with voiceover happening, which is very, to me, it's okay, because I understand that you have to get the ball rolling. You can't be waiting for people to just have traveling moments anymore, because you don't have time. You have 11 episodes left, 10 episodes left, something like that. You don't have time. I think it's 11. You don't have time to have Jaime taking a long walk with his soldiers. You don't have time to watch the Unsullied go use their boats and travel all the way around to Casterly Rock. You don't have time to do something like that. So you have a montage where you have Tyrion talking over how the Unsullied are going to take Casterly Rock. At first, they don't succeed because they're just trying to climb up the walls, and that's not going to work because Casterly Rock is built very well to be defended. And then you have Tyrion saying that, hey, my dad gave me the sewers. Great. I was the lowest of the low, so I built the sewers for Casterly Rock, and then we get that trailer shot of the Unsullied looking at that cave, and boom, there you go. That's how they get into Casterly Rock. They get into Casterly Rock. Great. Oh, it's all great. Then the Unsullied are like, wait, there should be more people here, and then you have them go look over the wall, the edge of the wall, and you see that Euron Greyjoy is taking out all their ships. So the Unsullied are stuck in Casterly Rock, which is horrible. You got Euron Greyjoy being amazing at being a pirate and destroying ships and things like that. The second time he's done that in 3 episodes, so great. And then we cut over and we have Jaime Lannister. We see him, and he has taken a note out of Robb Stark. Now, if you remember back when Robb Stark and Jaime were doing battle together, Jaime was going to meet Robb Stark on the battlefront. Robb Stark didn't go to meet Jaime. He went to where Jaime was not, and he won a victory because of that. And Jaime learned from that mistake, and Jaime goes to where Lady Tyrell is, and he takes Lady Tyrell, seems like pretty easily actually. And it's so cool because it's like a bait and switch where you have Jaime knowing that they're going to go to Casterly Rock, and he realizes that, hey, Casterly Rock doesn't mean anything anymore because we have King's Landing. So you have Jaime just being like, you know what, forget Casterly Rock, we'll go take out Lady Tyrell. And Lady Tyrell is like an absolute amazing character. It's unfortunate that she's got to leave, but she's got to leave. And she gets taken out by Jaime. Now, it's a great scene where you have Jaime saying, hey, Cersei wanted to drag you through the streets and then hang you up in front of the Red Keep. Didn't happen. Jaime talked her out of that. I knew that Jaime is a good man at heart, and he had respect for Lady Tyrell, and so he was just like, hey, let's just poison her. And Lady Tyrell takes the poison, and then she tells Jaime that she was the one who killed Joffrey. Now, this is another great scene where you have Jaime Lannister being absolutely unsettled at that fact, and it's something that's so cool because now now Jaime knows that Tyrion is absolutely innocent. I mean, other than killing Tywin Lannister, Tyrion is absolutely innocent of what he was accused of, which was killing Joffrey. Be quiet, dog. So yeah, you have a great scene where you have an amazing character in Lady Tyrell. Unfortunate that she has to go, but it's Game of Thrones, so what do you expect? And you have Jaime finding that out, and Lady Tyrell is like, once she tells Jaime that she killed Joffrey, she was like, tell Cersei, I want her to know it was me. It was a great ending, and I think that they had to do the whole montage and all that stuff because you have to get the ball rolling, and that's all cool in my opinion. But that is my opinion on this entire episode. I'm sorry it was long, but hey, Game of Thrones is a lot. So tell me what you think about this episode and the future. Tell me what you think is going to happen now that Dany only has nobody, just her Dothraki and the dragons, and the Unsullied are kind of stuck. Tell me what you think about this episode and what's going to happen in the future of this season and even next season. But yeah, do that in the comment section down below. And if you enjoy this and want to see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll put up a new review of Game of Thrones every Monday as long as it is on, obviously as long as it is going. And thank you for watching this episode.